You see this sweater? I've had this sweater since, I want to say 1996, maybe 97. Gloria bought it for me at a department store in Bay Ridge. It was on sale, $12. She was very proud of that. She said, "Sal, I got you a sweater that makes you look like a college professor." I said, "Gloria, college professors make more money than me." She laughed. I loved making her laugh. That was almost 30 years ago. The sweater's got a little hole right here near the cuff. I could fix it. I've been fixing things my whole life. But I like the hole. It reminds me of her dragging me through the sale rack, telling me to stop complaining. Now, why am I telling you about a $12 sweater? Because everything you think you know about money is probably wrong. And I don't mean wrong like you need a better investment strategy or a savings app on your phone. I mean wrong like the way you think about what money is for is costing you your life. Not your lifestyle, your actual life. The minutes, the years, the peace in your chest when you lay down at night. That's what's at stake, and most of you don't even know you're bleeding. Let me tell you something that took me way too long to figure out. I grew up with nothing. I mean real nothing. Not the kind of nothing people say on the internet now, where they mean they only had basic cable. I mean, my father came to this country with $40 and a bag of tools, and we shared an apartment with 3 other families in Brooklyn. 1 bathroom. You learn patience real fast, or you learn to hold it. And when you grow up like that, one of 2 things happens. Either you spend the rest of your life trying to prove you're not poor anymore, buying things, showing things, making sure everyone can see that you made it, or you learn something different. You learn that looking poor and being poor are 2 completely different things. And the distance between those 2 things, that's where your freedom lives. I had a customer once. This was in the early 60s, maybe 62, 63. His name was Richard Calloway, Richie. Came into my shop wearing a suit that cost more than my rent. Beautiful suit, Italian fabric, and I would know, right? I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, this man has it figured out. He drove a Cadillac. His wife had a fur coat. They lived in a brownstone over on, I think it was 72nd Street. Everything about Richie said money. He came in to get his shoes resoled. Nice shoes, but the soles were worn through. I mean, worn through. These weren't shoes that needed a touch-up. These were shoes that had been walked into the ground because he couldn't afford new ones. But he couldn't let anyone see him in cheap shoes, so he'd wear the expensive ones until they literally fell apart, and then come to me and say, "Sal, work your magic." I liked Richie. He was a good man. But he was living a lie, and the lie was eating him alive. He was financing everything: the car, the clothes, the brownstone. He told me once, sitting right there while I worked on his shoes, he said, "Sal, I make good money. I make real good money, but I can't sleep at night." Now stop for a second. How many of you right now can't sleep at night? I'm serious. How many of you are lying in bed with your eyes open at 2 in the morning doing math in your head, calculating, juggling, moving money from here to there to cover something over there? That's stress. That isn't just stress. That is your life being stolen from you in real time. Every night you can't sleep because of money is a night you don't get back. You understand? You don't get those nights back. Richie had a heart attack in 1971. He was 44 years old. 44. You want to know what stress does? It kills you. It killed Richie. And at his funeral, I went. Of course I went. His wife, Dorothy, was already figuring out what to sell. The Cadillac was leased. The brownstone had 2 mortgages. The Beautiful Life was a stage set, and when Richie died, the crew came and took the whole thing apart in a week. Now here's what I want you to hear. I'm not telling you that story to scare you. I'm telling you because Richie was not a stupid man. Richie was a smart man who got caught in a trap that this country sets for you every single day. The trap is this. They convince you that how you look is who you are, that the car you drive tells people what you're worth, that the clothes and the house and the neighborhood, that those things are you. And once you believe that, once you really believe it, you'll spend every dollar you make, and then dollars you haven't made yet, trying to keep up an image of a person that doesn't even exist. So my first piece of advice, and I'm going to give you a lot of them because I'm old and I've earned the right to tell you what to do. Stop performing wealth you don't have. Just stop. Today. You don't need the newest car. You don't. I drove a 1984 Toyota Corolla until Gloria used to say it was embarrassing. I said, Gloria, the car starts every morning and it gets me where I need to go. What's embarrassing about reliability? She'd shake her head, but she was smiling. She was always smiling. You know what that car cost me in monthly payments? Nothing. It was paid off. You know what insurance cost on a 1984 Corolla? Almost nothing. You know what that freed up? Money that I could put into the shop, into savings, into taking Gloria to North Carolina to see her family at Christmas. That's what looking poor bought me. It bought me actual life instead of the appearance of one. Now let me tell you about the other side. Because I also knew people who had money, real money, and you couldn't tell by looking at them. My friend Domenico, everyone called him Dom. He lived on 68th Street, right off 3rd Avenue. Little apartment, nothing fancy. Wore the same rotation of 3 or 4 shirts. Took the bus. His idea of a big night out was the early bird special at this Greek diner on 5th Avenue. I think it was called Olympic or something. Dom owned 4 buildings. 4. Outright. No mortgage. The man was worth, and I only found this out after he passed in 2003. The man was worth over $2 million in Bay Ridge. A guy who took the bus and ate at a diner. And here's the thing about Dom that I want you to understand. Dom wasn't cheap. People called him cheap, but they were wrong. Dom was strategic. There's a very big difference. Cheap means you won't spend money even when you should. Strategic means you choose what matters. Dom would fix up his buildings, good materials, no shortcuts. He paid his workers fairly. He gave to the church every week, and not a small amount. He helped Listen, when things got hard at the shop at certain points, Dom was one of the first people there. Not with a loan, with a check. He said, "Sal, you don't owe me. The neighborhood needs your shop." That's not a cheap man. That's a man who looked poor because he understood that money is a tool, not a costume. And Dom, God rest him, Dom retired at 62. 62 years old, he just stopped working. Not because he was tired, but because he could. He had the freedom to say, "I'm done. I want to spend my time fishing and playing cards and visiting my grandchildren." How many of you are going to be able to say that? At 62, at 65, at 70? Because the way some of you are living right now, and I say this with love, you're going to be working until they carry you out. Not because you want to, because you have to. Because the performance costs money and the show must go on even when you're exhausted. Let me give you something practical, right now, today. Look at your closet. Look at your garage. Look at your monthly subscriptions and your dining out budget and your, what do they call it? Your lifestyle expenses. And ask yourself one question. Is this making me free, or is this making me a prisoner? Because every dollar you spend trying to look like something is a dollar that can't work for you, can't grow, can't give you options. My father, and I've talked about him before, you know he was a cobbler, taught me everything. My father used to say something that I didn't appreciate until I was much older. He said, in Italian, he said, "Il ricco vero non ha bisogno di dimostrarlo." The truly rich man doesn't need to prove it. And he meant rich in every sense. Rich in money, rich in character, rich in peace. The people who actually have it don't need you to know. Look at the wealthiest people in the world, the ones who really have generational wealth, who really have their lives together. Most of them don't look like what you think rich looks like. They're wearing plain clothes. They're driving reasonable cars. They're not posting their meals on the internet. They figured out early what Richie figured out too late. The appearance of wealth is the enemy of actual wealth. But I want to take this further, because looking poor isn't just about money. It's about ego. It's about who you attract into your life and who you repel. When I was younger, and I mean younger, in my 40s and 50s, I noticed something. The people I admired most, the ones who lived well, who had good marriages, who raised decent children, who slept well at night, those people were almost never flashy. They weren't trying to impress you. They were living for themselves, for their families, for their God. And because they weren't performing, They attracted other real people. Their friendships were genuine because nobody was keeping score. But the people who were always showing off, always buying the next thing, always renovating the kitchen again, those people attracted other performers. And performers are exhausting. You ever been friends with someone and you realize the whole friendship is about appearances? You go to dinner and it's about the restaurant, not the conversation. You visit their house and they're showing you what they bought, not asking how you're doing. Everything is a stage, and you're just an audience member. They need to validate the performance. If you want real friends, real ones, the kind who show up when your shop burns down, the kind who bring you soup when you're sick, the kind who tell you the truth even when it hurts, you have to stop performing. You have to let people see the real thing, the messy apartment, the old car, the sweater with the hole in it. Because the people who love you despite those things, those are your people. Those are the ones worth keeping. I had a neighbor once, a woman named Patricia Keegan, Pat. She lived in the building next to mine for, 30-some years. And Pat was one of these people who was always trying to keep up. Always had her hair done. Always had a new outfit for every occasion. Always redecorating. And listen, there's nothing wrong with wanting to look nice. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when it becomes a compulsion. When you can't sit still because stillness means looking at what you actually have and being okay with it. Pat's husband, Frank, worked himself half to death, keeping up with Pat's vision of what their life should look like. They took trips they couldn't afford. They put in a kitchen that put them in debt for 6 years. 6 years to pay off a kitchen. You cook in it for what? An hour a day? You're paying for it 24 hours a day for 6 years. That math don't work. It never works. And the tragedy, and this is the part that gets me, this is the part I need you to hear. The tragedy is that Pat and Frank were good people. They loved each other. But the financial pressure poisoned everything. They fought about money constantly. Frank started drinking more. Pat got anxious, couldn't enjoy anything because she was always thinking about the next thing they needed, the next upgrade, the next thing the Cohens down the street had that they didn't. When Frank passed, this was in the late 90s, Pat had to sell the apartment. She moved to a smaller place in Sunset Park. And you know what she told me? She came into my shop one day, sat down, and she said, "Sal, I wish we had just been happy with what we had." That sentence, I want you to write it down. Tattoo it on the inside of your eyelids if you have to. I wish we had just been happy with what we had. Because most of you watching this right now, you have enough. You have more than enough. You have more than my father had when he came to this country with $40. You have more than I had raising 2 children alone in a 2-room apartment in Brooklyn. You have more than billions of people on this earth will ever have. And yet, it doesn't feel like enough because you're comparing. Because you're scrolling through your phone, which I don't understand, by the way, this obsession with looking at other people's lives. And you're seeing what everyone else has, and you're deciding that what you have isn't good enough. It is good enough. It's good enough right now, today, this second. Your life, exactly as it is, has everything you need to be happy. The only thing standing between you and that happiness is this insane idea that you need more. And I'll tell you something else, something personal that I don't talk about much. My son Enzo, when he became a lawyer, he moved to Manhattan. Good for him. I was proud. But Manhattan did something to him. He started buying things, expensive things, suits that cost, I don't even want to tell you what they cost. A watch that cost more than I made in 6 months at the shop. And I watched it happen in slow motion. Every visit, there was something new. New apartment, new furniture, new car. And I wanted to say something. I wanted to shake him and say, Enzo, this isn't you. We're Benedettos. We make things with our hands. We don't buy things to put on our wrists. But you can't tell your grown children how to live. You can't. That's one of the hardest lessons of being a parent, knowing when to shut your mouth. So I shut my mouth for years, until one Thanksgiving, this must have been 1985, maybe 86, Enzo came to dinner, and he looked terrible. Not physically. His suit was perfect, his hair was perfect, everything was perfect, but his eyes looked like a man drowning in a swimming pool while everyone around him was admiring the pool. You understand what I'm saying? The outside was beautiful and the inside was dying. After dinner, I said, Enzo, come help me with the dishes. And while we're standing at the sink, him washing, me drying, just like when he was a boy, I said, son, are you happy? And he didn't answer for a long time. The water was running, and he was scrubbing a pot that was already clean. And finally he said, Pop, I don't know anymore. That broke my heart, that answer, because I knew exactly what happened. He got on the carousel, and the carousel doesn't have a stop button. You have to jump off, and jumping off feels like dying because you've convinced yourself the ride is your whole identity. Enzo eventually figured it out. It took him a long time, longer than I would have liked. He lost a marriage, partly over it. But sometime in his 50s, he called me and said, Pop, I sold the BMW. I bought a Honda. And I tell you, I almost cried. Not because of the car, because of what the car meant. It meant my son chose himself over his image. And that is one of the bravest things a person can do in this country. Now I want to be clear about something because I'm not naive. I know there are people struggling, real struggling. Can't pay rent struggling. Choosing between medicine and groceries struggling. That's not who I'm talking to right now. If you're in that position, I have nothing but compassion for you, and I hope things get better. You don't need a lecture from an old man. You need opportunity and a break. I'm talking to the ones who make decent money, maybe good money, and still feel broke. I'm talking to the ones with 2 incomes and nothing saved. The ones leasing a BMW and eating out 4 nights a week and wondering why they feel anxious all the time. That's who needs to hear this. You are choosing to look rich, and it is making you actually poor. Not just in your bank account, in your soul. Because here's the other thing about looking poor that nobody talks about. It frees up your time. When you're not maintaining an image, when you're not shopping for the next thing, when you're not researching which watch or which handbag or which, what do they call them, which sneakers to buy, you suddenly have hours in your day that you didn't have before. And what do you do with those hours? You live. You take a walk. You sit with someone you love and actually talk to them. You read a book. You learn something. You cook a meal from scratch and eat it slowly. My best days, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, my best days were the simplest ones. A Sunday with nothing to do, espresso in the morning, maybe a walk to the park, Gloria making something in the kitchen, humming to herself, Lucia calling on the phone, telling me about her week. Maybe I'd go to the shop, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Work on a pair of shoes for the pleasure of it, the smell of leather, the feel of the thread pulling through. Those days cost almost nothing, and they were worth everything. I'm 106 years old. I know. You wouldn't believe it. Some days I don't believe it either. I wake up and my knees remind me, though. 106 years, and you know what I have? I have this apartment that's paid for. I have my health. Well, what's left of it. I have my daughter who calls every Sunday. I have my memories, which are more valuable than anything in any store on Fifth Avenue. I have my espresso pot from 1928. I have Gloria's sweater on my back, and I have peace. That's the thing. I have peace. I don't owe anyone a dime. I don't need anything. I don't want anything that costs money. And that peace, that calm in my chest, that is the richest I have ever been. Richer than Richie with his Cadillac. Richer than any of these people on the internet showing you their cars and their houses and their fancy vacations. Because at 2 a.m, I sleep. I sleep like a baby. Well, I sleep like an old man. I get up twice to go to the bathroom, but between those trips, I sleep beautifully. Because nothing is chasing me. Nothing is owed. Nothing is pretend. So here's what I'm asking you to do. And I'm asking because I care about you. You, the person watching this right now, on your phone or your computer or whatever. I'm asking you to start looking poor. Not to be poor, to look poor. There's a difference, and the difference will save your life. Drive the paid-off car. Wear the old jacket. Skip the renovation. Cook at home. Stop trying to impress people. And this is the important part. Stop trying to impress people who aren't even paying attention, because they're not. They're too busy trying to impress you. It's a whole carousel of people performing for each other, and nobody's watching because everyone's too busy performing. Get off the carousel. Just step off. It's scary for about a week, and then it's the most free you've ever felt. My name is Salvatore Benedetto. People call me Sal. I've been on this earth for 106 years. I've had money, and I've had no money, and I've had in-between money. And I am telling you, from the deepest part of my experience, the happiest I ever was when I stopped caring what it looked like from the outside and started paying attention to what it felt like on the inside. That $12 sweater from 1996, it feels like Gloria. It feels like a Tuesday afternoon sale and her laughing at me in the fitting room. It feels like a woman who loved me not because of what I had, but because of who I was. What does your stuff feel like? Think about that tonight. And if the answer is nothing, if your things don't carry any memories, any meaning, any love, then maybe it's time to stop collecting things and start collecting moments. That's free. Moments are free, and they're the only thing you'll have at the end. Trust me, I'm at the end, and the only things I kept were the ones that were never for sale. Good night, and for God's sake, go hug somebody. Not tomorrow, right now. Go.